The events begin with a young man named Jung, who introduces himself as an ordinary real estate agent. However, he admits that he isn't always ordinary. His strong curiosity and desire to understand the world around him often lead him to observe people and interfere in their lives without warning or permission. Due to his profession, Jung always has spare keys to the apartments he rents. His unusual interest in people drives him to monitor his tenants. Despite his odd behavior, Jung is highly successful in his job, easily attracting clients. However, even after securing new tenants, he struggles to leave them alone. One day, he decides to visit the last two people who rented an apartment from him 2 weeks earlier, feeling intense curiosity about their lives and the reasons behind their move. He waits for them to leave, then enters their apartment. Contrary to expectations, Jung doesn't harm anything. Instead, he fixes broken items, restoring them better than before. Jung collects small items from each apartment he enters, keeping them as mementos and photographing them. His hobby revolves around gathering objects from different homes and framing them on his walls. One day, while eating at his usual restaurant, Jung stumbles upon the Instagram profile of a famous influencer named Sun. She has a large following on social media, and her enigmatic presence intrigues him. Despite observing many lives before, Jung feels that Sun carries an unusual mystery. To understand her, the story rewinds 142 days earlier. Jung recalls sitting in the same restaurant, eating as usual, and casually watching people. That day, Sun was sitting next to him eating a meal with meat. However, shortly after, she posted a picture of a vegetable salad online, advocating for vegetarianism and urging people to protect animals. Jung found her behavior perplexing and decided to watch her more closely. His curiosity pushed him to investigate her further. Over time, he discovered her home address, read her mail, studied her online presence, and learned everything about her interests. Not content with simply monitoring her activities from a distance, Jung spent weeks following her movements, tracking when she left her house, returned, and where she went. He had practically mapped out her daily routine. One day, while observing her, Jung thought she had noticed him. Panicking, he quickly hid, but soon realized that she wasn't looking for him at all. Instead, she had stopped to feed a stray, starving cat. This moment changed Jung's perception of Sun. He had assumed she was manipulative, but now, he saw her as kind-hearted. Despite this revelation, his obsession continued, and he spent more time secretly watching her. Eventually, Jung became determined to enter her apartment to uncover more about her life. However, he didn't have a spare key for Sun's place. Unwilling to give up, he devised a plan to gain entry while she was away. Jung's obsession with Sun intensifies as he struggles to crack the password to her apartment. He repeatedly attempts logical combinations but fails each time. Determined to succeed, he devises a plan, placing transparent tape over the keypad to capture her fingerprints. He eagerly retrieves the tape after she leaves, expecting to finally uncover her passcode. However, when he examines it, he finds nothing, no fingerprints, no clues. This realization frustrates him and makes him understand that Sun is far more careful than he had assumed. The next day, Jung is restless at work, frustrated by his inability to learn more about Sun. Then, unexpectedly, she walks into his agency, asking to rent out her apartment. Shocked, Jung listens as she explains that she's relocating for work. Though he instantly recognizes her story as a lie, he knows her job and her routines better than she does. Despite knowing she's being dishonest, he remains silent, eager to uncover the true reason behind her move. Sun hands Jung the key to her apartment, requesting that he find a tenant quickly. That night, with an opportunity he had been longing for, Jung visited her home. As usual, he explores the space, fixing broken items as if it were his routine. Before leaving, he takes a small object, photographing it for his collection. The following day, Jung notices Sun has started a live stream, and he tunes in to watch. In the broadcast, she tells her followers she found an injured stray cat and is taking it for treatment. Sun's live stream garners overwhelming support, with viewers praising her for her kindness toward animals. Jung, captivated by her actions, begins to admire her deeply. Using a fake account, he leaves a comment on her stream, telling her she deserves love. This marks a shift in his feelings, as his curiosity starts blending with genuine affection. 4 days later, Yoon continues his visits to Sun's apartment while she's away, driven by his insatiable curiosity. However, this time, he encounters a horrifying scene: Sun's lifeless body on the couch. Shocked and unable to process what he's seeing, Yoon instinctively reaches for his phone to call the police, but fear overtakes him. He worries they might suspect him of the crime. Panicked, he puts his phone away and flees the scene before anyone notices him there. That night, Yoon devises a plan to clear his name. He sends a message to Sun's phone, pretending to arrange a visit with potential tenants. His idea is to bring them to the apartment, discover the body together, and act as surprised as they are. This way, he can establish an alibi and avoid suspicion. The next day, Yoon takes the prospective tenants to Sun's apartment. To his astonishment, the place is spotless. There's no trace of the body. The new tenant's wife screams, but only out of amazement at the apartment's beauty. Yoon is left bewildered, unable to comprehend how the body disappeared. Haunted by the mystery, Yoon spends sleepless nights fearing that the real killer might target him next. Days pass with no news about Sun or her body. Even the police seem to have no leads. Then, one day at work, Yoon finds a red envelope left by an unknown person. Inside, he discovers incriminating photos of himself in Sun's apartment on the day of her death, along with the strand of his hair from the crime scene. As Yoon stands in shock, realizing the red envelope has framed him entirely, his phone rings. It's a storage facility where he had kept some of his late mother's belongings. Upon arrival, he finds the items destroyed and his cherished photo, with his mother torn apart. No one knows who did it or why, but Yoon immediately suspects the same person behind Sun's murder and the envelope. Carrying the damaged photo back home, he gets caught in heavy traffic. Suddenly, he notices a truck barreling down a steep slope directly toward his car. Acting fast, he leaps out, narrowly escaping injury. However, upon inspecting the truck, he finds it empty, no driver. He realizes he's the next target. Desperate, Yoon rushes to the police station to report the incident, pleading for protection. The authorities check security cameras but find no clues. They assure him they will investigate and capture the perpetrator. The police begin their inquiries, first questioning Sun's closest friend, Hyun. She informs them that Sun had asked her to alert the police immediately if she ever disappeared. Detective Yun senses that Hyun might be withholding crucial information, but allows her to leave. Determined to uncover more, Yun requests a full report on Sun's recent activities. Upon review, she discovers that Sun had been completely inactive in the days leading up to her disappearance, deepening the mystery. Suspicion grows that her disappearance holds a much larger secret. Later that night, the detectives visit Yoon's real estate office to question him about Sun and his connection to her. Yoon conceals the truth about having seen her dead, simply stating that he learned she had gone missing. When asked how he knew, he explained that he had been texting her while showing tenants her apartment, but she never responded. Detective Yun presses further, asking how Yoon accessed the apartment. If Sun wasn't there, Yoon hesitates before recalling that she had given him the key when she asked him to find a tenant. Yun then asks when he last saw her and who else had entered the apartment with him. He states that the last time he saw her was when she gave him the key, and the last people in the apartment were the two prospective tenants. When asked where he was on the 19th of last month, the day of Sun's murder, Yoon stiffens, realizing the significance of the date. Detective Yun notices his nervous reaction, growing suspicious that he's hiding something. Yoon claims he was in his office all day, but the detectives remain unconvinced. Yoon's anxiety reaches its peak as he secretly follows the police to Sun's apartment, unable to resist his curiosity. His worst fears come true when Detective Yun discovers a bloodstain under the couch where Sun was killed. The case is officially declared a homicide, putting Yoon in grave danger as the prime suspect. Determined to clear his name, Yoon begins his investigation. He scours the internet for any clues about Sun's life before her death and stumbles upon an old video of her tearfully discussing harassment The source of her troubles appears to be her friend Hiran, another influencer. The video reveals Hiran's jealousy and constant negative comments on Sun's posts. Despite mimicking her every move, Jung suspects that Hiran might have orchestrated Sun's disappearance to eliminate competition and monopolize sponsorship deals. To confirm his theory, Jung tracks down Hiran's home by analyzing the backgrounds of her videos. Late at night, he observes her routine, noting when she leaves and returns. One evening, he seizes the opportunity to enter her apartment while she's out, searching for evidence. Inside, Jung discovers multiple red envelopes similar to the one he received, along with printed conversations between Hiran and Sun. The messages are filled with threats and insults, further implicating Hiran. Jung becomes increasingly convinced that Hiran played a significant role in Sun's murder. Jung's paranoia deepens as he discovers that another person, Lee, had also been sending threats to Sun. This revelation complicates his investigation. Was Hiran truly the mastermind, or was Lee just as guilty? Given Lee's unstable nature, Jung starts to suspect that he could kill without hesitation. While searching Hiran's computer for further clues, Jung is caught off guard when she unexpectedly returns. Panicking, he escapes, but fails to shut down the computer properly, revealing his intrusion. Hiran immediately senses that someone was in her apartment. Conflicted by the evidence, Jung struggles to determine who the real culprit is. Both Hiran and Lee seem suspicious. Hiran possesses the same red envelope that had framed him, while Lee has the erratic behavior of a man capable of murder. However, Jung doesn't have time to dwell on his thoughts. When he arrives home, he notices an unfamiliar shoe among his belongings. Someone is inside. Moving cautiously, he calls out, but receives no response. Then, two masked intruders suddenly attack him. Jung fights back with all his strength, managing to unmask one of them. It's Lee. Fear grips Jung as he realizes Lee has come to silence him. A fierce struggle ensues as Lee attempts to eliminate Jung. Fortunately, Jung manages to break free and escape, narrowly avoiding death. Without hesitation, he rushes to the police station, informing Detective Yun of everything he has discovered about Lee. Yun immediately reviews security footage to identify Lee's accomplice. Jung tells her that Lee is the prime suspect in Sun's murder and is likely working with Hiran. If the police manage to catch Lee, they might uncover his partner in crime. However, Detective Yun warns Jung that they cannot make accusations without concrete evidence, as this would violate legal rights. Determined to prove his claims, Jung takes Yun to his apartment, asking her to witness the aftermath for herself. Upon arrival, Jung urges Yun to be cautious, his attackers might still be nearby. Taking his warning seriously, Yun draws her weapon and carefully surveys the scene. Jung is utterly shocked when he enters his apartment, only to find it completely ransacked. His belongings are scattered, and worse, Lee, the man he suspected, is hanging from the ceiling, dead. Detective Yun, equally disturbed by the scene, immediately calls the homicide department to gather evidence. As Jung tries to process everything, he notices another red envelope buried in the dirt of his ant farm. Fearing it contains more incriminating evidence, he instinctively reaches for it, but Yun stops him. Everything in the apartment is now considered evidence. She opens the envelope and discovers photos of Jung with Lee before his death, as well as images of Jung inside Sun's apartment without her knowledge. This discovery convinces Yun that Jung is responsible for everything, including Lee's death. She announces her intention to arrest him. Desperate, Jung argues that if he were truly the mastermind, why would he invite her here to investigate? But Yun, believing his actions might be an attempt to shift suspicion away from himself, moves to detain him. In a frantic attempt to defend himself, Jung accidentally knocks Yun against the wall, causing her to lose consciousness. Knowing he must act quickly, he flees the scene, but immediately calls emergency services to ensure Yun gets medical attention. Soon after, Yun regains consciousness and additional detectives arrive. She instructs her colleague to issue an arrest warrant for Jung, officially classifying him as a suspect. Meanwhile, new evidence about Lee surfaces. He was involved in online blackmail schemes, working alongside Hiran, the influencer Jung had been investigating. At the same time, Hiren learns about Jung's sudden escape, and instead of staying quiet, she takes advantage of the situation. She goes live on social media, publicly claiming that Jung is the true murderer. She shares his image with her massive following, encouraging people to demand justice for Sun, making him look even guiltier. Jung, now on the run, listens to the news from his car, devastated by the escalating accusations. His phone floods with hate messages, branding him a murderer and a coward. Realizing he has no choice but to expose the truth himself, he sets out to find undeniable proof of the real killer before it's too late. Hiren escalates her accusations against Jung through a live broadcast, rallying public opinion against him with hashtags demanding justice for Sun. Jung, overwhelmed by the false allegations, listens to the news in his car, devastated and tearful. His phone floods with hateful messages, branding him a murderer and a coward. Determined to end the nightmare, Jung resolves to uncover the real killer. Meanwhile, the police continue their investigation, thoroughly searching Jung's apartment. They discover a bloodstain on one of his shoes, which they send for analysis. At the station, Detective Yun meets a woman claiming to be Sun's sister, adding another layer to the unfolding mystery. As Hiren continues her live stream, discussing Jung's alleged crimes, she hears a loud knock at her door. To her shock, Jung stands before her, furious and demanding answers. He smashes her phone to stop the broadcast and grabs her, threatening to harm her unless she confesses everything about Lee and Sun. Terrified, Hiren begins to talk. She reveals that she didn't kill Sun and knows nothing about her or Lee's recent activities. Her only involvement was introducing them to each other. When Jung questions the online conflicts between her and Sun, Hiren admits they were staged to gain public sympathy for Sun and create competition between them. They had agreed to share the profits from their collaboration. Jung continues searching through Hiren's belongings until he finds a photo of the red envelope. He confronts her, accusing her of sending the incriminating photos. Hiren denies any knowledge, claiming the envelope belonged to Sun, not her. This revelation triggers a memory for Jung. The scent he noticed when Lee and his accomplice attacked him matches the scent he encountered in Sun's apartment. He begins to suspect that Sun is still alive. And indeed, she is. Detective Yun's meeting with Sun's sister unveils a shocking truth about Sun's character. Her sister describes her as someone consumed by greed, willing to do anything for money, even selling their younger brother, who had a mental disability and couldn't defend himself. Their father intervened, retrieving the boy and throwing the money back at Sun before banishing her from the family home. After leaving, Sun pursued various jobs to accumulate wealth, but remained dissatisfied, always striving for something bigger. Her turning point came when she posted a photo from a hospital visit on social media. A follower commented on her apparent kindness for donating blood. Though the image was coincidental, Sun embraced the narrative, crafting an image of herself as a benevolent figure to gain public admiration and donations. Sun's manipulative tactics escalated. She staged acts of kindness, such as helping injured animals or pretending to assist people, all to evoke sympathy. However, her ultimate goal was always financial gain. Her sister's revelations paint a picture of someone whose greed knew no bounds, exposing the facade Sun had carefully constructed. Sun's manipulative and sinister nature becomes even more apparent as her schemes unfold. She would go to extreme lengths, even harming stray animals to stage their suffering and solicit donations. When she realized Jung was observing her and getting closer to uncovering her true identity, she decided to eliminate him to protect her fabricated life of luxury. In a shocking twist, it turns out that Sun had been watching Jung all along, the other way around. She studied his habits, learned everything about him, and even entered his apartment to gather information. Knowing Jung was trying to access her apartment, she deliberately gave him the key, setting the stage for her elaborate plan to frame him. Sun orchestrated the fake murder scene to throw Jung into a spiral of confusion and fear. To execute her plan, she needed an accomplice and found the perfect candidate in Lee. Using her charm, she manipulated him by pretending to love him and promising marriage. Lee, blinded by her beauty and deceit, followed her every command, helping her destroy Young's life. However, when Young recognized Lee during their attack on him, Sun realized Lee had become a liability. Ruthlessly, she decided to eliminate him as well, ensuring he couldn't expose her. Her greed and cunning knew no bounds, as she continued her schemes without hesitation, leaving destruction in her wake. Sun's sinister plan reaches its climax as she continues her schemes without Lee, breaking into Young's apartment to plant the red envelope and further frame him. Meanwhile, Detective Yun questions Sun's sister about her last known interactions, learning that Hyerin was the closest person to her. This revelation adds another layer of complexity to the case. Young, piecing together the events, recalls the note he found among his mother's belongings, which ominously stated that his life would end in a warehouse. Driven by desperation, he heads to the location, determined to confront whoever is behind the chaos. Inside the warehouse, the atmosphere is eerily familiar. Darkness envelops the space, reminiscent of the attack in his apartment. Moving cautiously, Young tries to identify who might be lurking. Suddenly, Sun emerges from the shadows, wielding a knife, and launches an attack. A fierce struggle ensues as Young fights to escape her grasp. He demands to know why she's doing this to him. Sun, consumed by her greed and fear of exposure, confesses that she targeted him because he had uncovered her secrets and threatened her carefully constructed life. In her mind, destroying him was the only way to preserve her false reality. Sun's manipulative brilliance reaches its peak as she executes her most elaborate plan yet. She tees herself up and injures herself, creating the perfect illusion of being a victim. Her screams attract the nearby police patrol, strategically chosen due to its proximity to the warehouse. When the police arrive, they find Young holding Sun, immediately assuming he is her captor and attacker. Young is left stunned by the sheer cunning of her actions. The police rescue Sun and attempt to arrest Young, but he resists and manages to escape. Sun is taken to the station, where Detective Yun confronts her colleagues, insisting that the case cannot be closed so easily. Yun is convinced that Young is innocent and that Sun has orchestrated everything. However, her superiors dismiss her concerns, instructing her to focus on capturing Young. Meanwhile, Sun continues her deception, broadcasting a live stream from the hospital to her followers. She portrays herself as a survivor of horrific abuse, gaining sympathy and donations from her audience. Her innocent appearance convinces everyone, proving that appearances can be deceiving. Young, overwhelmed by the accusations and the chaos surrounding him, spends days contemplating his next move. Finally, he decides to surrender to Detective Yun, but only under one condition: he wants to share his side of the story and reveal the truth about Sun before facing justice. His determination marks the beginning of a potential turning point in the case. Young, overwhelmed by the chaos surrounding him, sends a heartfelt message to Detective Yun. He confesses his intrusive curiosity, expressing deep regret for his actions, but emphasizes that he never intended harm. Instead, he explains that his fascination stemmed from wanting to uncover the truth behind people's facades, like Sun's. He requests a meeting with Yun, promising to surrender himself to justice afterward. Detective Yun, sensing Young's sincerity and believing in his innocence, agrees to meet him. During their conversation, Young reveals everything he has discovered about Sun, piecing together the puzzle of her manipulative schemes. The next day, Sun is discharged from the hospital, seemingly triumphant in her deception. Detective Yun personally escorts her home to ensure her safety. Upon entering the house, Sun notices a red envelope on the couch, the same type she used in her schemes. Panicking, she quickly hides it, fearing it might contain evidence that could incriminate her. Yun notices her unease and asks about the envelope, but Sun dismisses it as something personal. Yun, still suspicious, arranges for a police patrol to guard Sun's house, ensuring her safety. After Yun leaves, Sun opens the envelope to find a chilling drawing of herself being murdered by Young, accompanied by a message. The note reveals that Young possesses more incriminating photos that could ruin her. The message demands a meeting to negotiate a resolution. Terrified, Sun wastes no time. She packs her belongings and sneaks out through the back window to avoid being seen. Arriving at the designated location, she confronts Young, demanding the photos. Sun's final confrontation with Young is as dramatic as it is revealing. Young offers her a deal. He'll hand over the incriminating photos if she publicly clears his name and admits the truth. Predictably, Sun refuses. She's come prepared, armed with a taser, and shocks Young until he loses consciousness. When he wakes, he finds himself tied up, with Sun standing over him, ready to stage his death as a suicide. Before she finishes him off, Young demands to know why she's doing this. Sun coldly admits that everything she's done killing Lee, betraying her closest friend, and now targeting Young has been for money. Her greed has driven her to destroy anyone who threatens her carefully constructed life. Young, however, has been recording her confession the entire time. When Sun realizes this, she destroys the camera and attempts to kill him to eliminate any evidence. She strangles him, nearly succeeding, but Detective Yun and the police arrive just in time to save Young. Sun is arrested, her crimes exposed, and she faces a lifetime in prison. Young, too, is charged with invading people's privacy, but his sentence is light in comparison. After serving his time, Young emerges as a changed man, having learned the dangers of his excessive curiosity. His first act upon release is to thank Detective Yun, the only person who believed in his innocence. The story ends with Young moving forward, wiser and more cautious, while Sun faces the consequences of her greed and manipulation. If you enjoyed the summary, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all our new content. See you soon.